Hi, and welcome to another episode of Wine and Wisdom. I'm Thomas Le Hoang, and you're listening to the TL podcast, where knowledge is shared and no one takes themselves too seriously. Okay, well, let's start on this next wine here. What do we have?
What do you got
Come
for
on.
us, Chris?
Unfortunately, Cam's
Do you
going to have a
want
shot
to
at
just
me
serve us, mate?
regardless, but we've got a Wynns Coonawarra. I do like my Wynns.
Yeah, I've noticed.
This
It's the 14th Wynns
is
Coonawarra
a
we've had.
2012. It's called the V&A Lane. It's called that because the vine that it comes from runs along a laneway leading up to the main vineyard.
Right.
It should be a good drop. Adelaide Hills, again, Coonawarra region, obviously.
What was the budget, mate? What did you spend?
I spent, it was on special, from $800 down to $55. So, all right, I might exaggerate.
So
that
just to be
clarify.
clear,
All right, boys. Cheers.
Cheers.
Go on.
Cheers.
It's Christmas.
Right, it's Christmas.
Let's
We're
be giving.
giving.
Let's be forgiving.
I'm going to give it to him.
Rather than giving, forgiving.
No, I'm going to give it to him. Don't worry.
That's nice.
Are you serious? You have to pay for this?
Get out of here. It's nice.
What's that tang?
I went to the bathroom earlier. I'm fucking sure these guys are stitching me up
What's
as
that
usual.
tang? No.
I'm sure of it.
So just for everyone out there, Thomas said, at first you said to me last week, it's the last one, so we're going to go back to the $100
Before we
budget.
continue, how's the salami, mate?
Beautiful, mate.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah,
So,
we're not judging on
how's the
salami.
prosciutto?
We're
and the
not
cheese
we're not
and the bread?
judged.
How's that all that?
If
Just
only it
wanna
was
ask.
if only
Just
it was
wanna
called
ask. I wanna
if
clarify.
only it
That's
was
all
called salami and wisdom, mate, you'd have a shot. But it's not. All right, so it's not. So after originally saying it was $100 budget, Thomas changed his mind. Went fuck it, it's Christmas. There is no limit on what we can spend today. So good on our mate who increased his budget by $4.99 from what we normally spend.
I actually didn't even look at the price. I just grabbed it.
And look, it's nothing against Wynns Coonawarra, the 14th bottle of it that we've had on this show.
Never
but
had that one, though.
It doesn't compete with what we've had previous. Fair to say?
It's the selected vineyards, mate.
Fair to say or not?
It's the selected
No,
vineyards.
I want your opinion. Do you think it...
No, it's not as good as the other two bottles. No, it's not. You're still drinking it.
Mate, a fish still
It's
swims in the water.
difficult. It's difficult. Anyway, boys, what are we talking about now?
It's difficult.
Mate, it isn't...
Listen,
It's not scratching me in all the right places.
so people can't say I'm doing my best for wine and wisdom. And people can't say that.
All right, that's our last segment for the year.
It is.
Last
That's
one.
our last one. See, we had
Three
some.
big
We had
things.
some
So let's
big
have a-
ones. We had some great ones.
Let's
I
have
tell
a-
you what a year.
Let's have
What
a look
year.
back.
So what were some of our top moments for the year?
How do you pick out of a year that we've just had? Seriously. I think for the first one for me, and I don't know about you guys, but the first one for me was the fires. The fires at the beginning of this year.
Right.
And it went on for so long, and it was worldwide news. And those fires continued for like 3 weeks and affected thousands and thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah.
So for me, the fires at the beginning of 2020 were
Do you know? And I think that what's even worse than any other fire is that fire was actually, in many ways, shut down by the virus, because all of these charity, all of these donation,
Quickly
of them
forgotten
afterwards.
about it.
Yeah,
aren't
where'd they go? Who'd they help?
Everyone just put the entire fire under the carpet.
Yep.
And I think that made it even worse.
Yep.
they? Yeah, for the people who are suffering, for sure.
So it affected hundreds and thousands of people indirectly.
Yeah.
So coastal towns and inland towns that would have tourism by the thousands through breaks and so forth, in the fires, they just got decimated. And then straight after that, they had some floods and then the COVID hit. So I think the catalyst of this year, the beginning of this year, was those fires. It just started a trend to the year, I think it was. And it went from, I was down Lake Conjola, went from the New South Wales Victorian border all the way through past Port Macquarie.
Were you on the beach when the fire
Yeah,
hit your...
New Year's Eve, I was trapped down on the Lake Conjola beach and the fires are coming down to the caravans and We had no way of getting out. We were safe because we're on a beach, so we just
went swimming with the shark.
Right, hundreds of meters of water, sand between me and the bushland. And my wife and my daughter were stuck in Mollymook, but they were in the town, so they were fine. But it was a very big eye opener for me, and at sort of started the year to see what's important. And one stage we thought the caravan that we were staying in and our car and all our belongings was gone. I had my mobile phone and that was it. And I didn't know where my wife was and I didn't know where my daughter was, but Sebastian was with me, and it gave us good reflection to say what's important in life. And that was at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
And then we had other things come along, which was unbelievable. That was amazing start to the year, I thought.
What else?
That was my number one.
I tried to keep it. I mean, we were talking about doing this. There's 100 ways you could go with it. A lot of bad stuff. A lot of bad stuff's happened this year, and fires is a brewing thing. I think just to finish off that point, we now say, there was fires like it was nothing. There was fires, and then there was COVID, and then there was that fire thing. As you said, T, never got finished. There was people in a whole heap of shit at the time that COVID hit. So I reflected more on it as a personal level, and I'm brought about by that conversation that I mentioned earlier about the person yesterday who was saying fuck 2020, and I was trying to change a mindset on because if this hadn't happened, this wouldn't happen. In the middle of the bushfires and a month before COVID, I opened my second office this year.
Yeah.
And that was an easy thing on paper, but that took 18 months of absolute shit fight to make happen. We got smashed by a hailstorm in between. There was an ownership change in the business in between. There was everything that could go wrong in the lead up to it did go wrong, and then I opened my second office. So that for me was a great thing. So on a professional level, 2020, I've had my best year commission-wise. So I'm trying to find the positives in it. Yeah, there's been, I know, and I feel a little bit guilty now that I actually forgotten about the fires and the effect that it had on a lot of people. So those people would 100% be saying fuck 2020.
But again, I think it's how we choose to look at things. Because for people with COVID, like you said, sitting there, that girl lady that you sat with said fuck 2020. It's how we choose to look at things. I honestly believe that, because for myself, while yes, there's been lots of negative with COVID, and the lockdown and working from home and people losing their jobs and so forth, I think there's been so many positives from it. Personally, it's the way I've chosen to look at it. I think we have been blessed to make people, the society, realise that it's not about the attainment of material things. It's about your family, your neighbour, your community and so forth. Yeah. So I think for me, COVID has not been a bad thing. It's bad that people have lost their lives, but it's been great that we can look at it as a positive way and see what the true colours of.
We did a whole podcast on the silver lining of COVID, and that's how I've taken this question. I'm proud of the fact, and I'll stick my chest out at the fact that not only did we survive as a business, but we grew as a business. And
wonderful.
You were against all these lockdowns, and you thought that it was a waste of time. And
yeah, mate, don't even get me fucking started. We've had 2 cases on the northern beaches, and Western Australia's talking about closing their borders again.
I'm not talking about the 2 cases.
No, the silver linings to come out of it. I don't think I've still got no further trust in government, if that's what you're hinting at. I
didn't hit on that. I hate that the fact that you were against it. So now that you're changing in your tune on that, I mean,
just pick 3 3 moments out of 2020 that meant a lot to you.
For me, the moment of 2020 is the value of human life has been put to the test, and I think that if anything, 2020 has really shown me that the human spirit has come to a level where the elderly and human lives have no meaning because they're useless to us. That we talk about family values and all these things, but really we are more interested in the economical side than family side. This is why I just asked you that question, because for me, that's what I saw this year. Everyone's talking about, my grandparents, my parents, and these people have made me who I am. And we spoke earlier in one of the podcasts, if you're going to blame your father about the bad thing he's done, you're going to have to blame your father about all the good things he's done, because that's fair, And I looked at 2020, mate, the degrading life or humanity that we have put to the elderly or the weak, to me, it's disgusting. Don't tell me that you value life. Tell me that you value economy. Tell me that you value the dollar. I understand. I'm not going to judge you by that. I accept that. But don't tell me you do, and then your action shows me the opposite. That to me was one of the big thing of this year.
And did you get that from COVID?
Yeah, because I think that before COVID we wouldn't see that. I think it was invisible. I think that people probably still didn't change. They couldn't give a shit about the elderly. They couldn't give a crap about maybe the weak in our society. But COVID, because of that sense of selfishness, has really drawn the blanket.
Yep.
But no, we've got too short a memory, mate. How are we going to learn from it? In that sense,
it doesn't matter. I don't think that people learn. I think the sad thing for me is we are supposedly a society that is evolving, meaning that we evolving towards a better clarification of our values and what we see. And what we put at the forefront of our society. And on the one hand, we scream about human rights here, human rights there. I'm sorry, but what we're doing in some of our most evolved countries, most advanced countries, by doing all that crap and saying, stuff the mask and all these things. And then right now, in some of those countries, we have more people dying on a daily basis than people who are killed on 911.
Yeah, right.
I'm very sorry. You're telling me one thing, but you're really showing me a totally opposite thing. That money and the fact that society still has to run up is number one. And that to me, man, it's telling me where we're heading. And I'm talking about countries just as US and Brazil and probably some of the countries that are hiding some of the stuff. We know Mexico. But I'm also talking about here in Australia. I told my kids, I don't ever want to be put in a home. If you get to a level where you're going to find out that I'm useless, I told my kids, just take me to the back of our property. Shoot me without me knowing, because if you do that, I wouldn't know. Dig a hole there, because I'd rather that than be in a nursing home where it's going to cost you guys money. And these idiots couldn't give a crap anyway. Probably wouldn't bath me, wouldn't change me, wouldn't give a crap about me, and would remove the decency of my humanity in the last days of my life.
So while disappointing to find out, has that realisation helped you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm going to walk down the back of the property when I feel like I need to.
No, I mean it in serious.
No, I'm serious. There's no way that they're going to put me there. I am not going to go into a nursing home, because I have now realized that really even the guys in the nursing home, and apparently they're talking about now boosting 1 billion or whatever it is. I'm sorry, I don't care about boosting $1 billion to help the aged care. Just help the guys in the aged care to take their business seriously. They there to work seriously. Maybe just like we giving the police a camera to check on whatever they're doing, maybe we should give these aged care workers a camera to check what they're doing for real. When you see aged care workers like slapping people because they're having problems, because at home they're now having issues with like a loved one who's lost their job. Mate, I'm sorry, these guys over here are the guys who are making your job possible.
Yeah.
That's what I saw this year, the devalue in humanity.
It's I still look at it, even as you're talking, mate, as somewhat of a positive, because now we know. And we can reassess and we can
I get that, but I'm talking about the 3 moments. I mean, it's good that we know, but I'm talking about the 3 moments.
What was your moment number one?
I took the question on a personal level. What were my 3 moments on a personal level?
I just went news.
I didn't go worldwide. I didn't. What are my 3 moments for 2020? And it was the reason I went personal on it is because of the conversation the other day with the person, and a lot of people saying can't wait for New Year's to say fuck you 2020. And I'm like, and we talked earlier about the mindset of people going into the break. So let's look back on what it's given us. It's given us a better perspective on what is actually going on in the world. It's allowed us to make better life decisions based on that.
I think that there's more chance of having that being changed than the way that people are looking at the elderly these days. Yeah. I don't think that will change with 2021.
Well, there's money involved in that, isn't there? The money involved in nursing homes and aged care as a business isn't going to allow that to change.
The problem is with pumping money into nursing homes, the money goes into the pockets of the owners, and unfortunately, eventually it doesn't really bleed down into improving the care for the residents?
I had a guy talking to me, and he runs his own little shop, and I was trying to say to him, listen, mate, your business has become what it is today thanks to the input of leaders who have helped you over the years and who have actually given you a job and then opened a show when you couldn't afford to even run the show. And he wrote back to me and in one line saying things like, you know, I've learned to rely on my two wings and fly from my own two wings than rely on the branch I'm standing on. I'm thinking, how can you really even look at the elderly, for example, in a familial context, as a branch, you know? Aren't the elderly the birds that you hanging around? Aren't the elderly the birds that have been teaching you how to fly?
The wing beneath the wings.
Since when the elderly or the people who have helped you build the business to that extent
Or a stepping stone.
have they become a branch? Right? And what it's saying to me is that that guy is willing to just give a definition to justify his own shit.
Yeah, absolutely. For me, another big thing this year, so my first two was, you know, the bushfires, COVID. The last thing was the George Floyd killing and then the reaction of the world basically afterwards.
Yeah.
And that was on top of, obviously, COVID going through that. And I think society, coming back to what you were saying about society's neglect for humanity and without having the value of human life, I think there's a lot of people that should have been held accountable. Now, I don't know if those policemen were at the end and so forth, but I think that was a huge moment in this year as well.
There was another moment. I mean, there was that side of it where we talked about it, about the problems that caused that, but then there was also a lot of the fake outrage after it, that, you know, all the marching in the streets that went on for forever and a fucking day, and the PC police, the political correct police that came out after it, and all the shit that spawned. So, you're 100% right as defining moment of this year for the way the world is today. That was the Black Lives Matter stuff was definitely part of it. My last thing, and it involves you two actually, is on a personal level, I can't imagine. I sit here and go, 2020 was great and we got a lot out of it. I've had to sit here and talk to two guys who, one can't go and see his parents because of the border restrictions, and one has one in a home who wasn't able to for however long, and I was sitting here the whole time choosing not to speak to my father for the last 6 years out of all sorts of reasons, but
And it's a big moment.
It's amazing, man.
It was sitting here listening to you guys. It was the final push to go, who the fuck am I? I'm sitting here choosing over a fight to disengage and not see my father, and you two poor fuckers didn't have a choice in the matter. And seeing the pain that caused you guys was the push I needed to mend that bridge and go and have that conversation. So I know it doesn't make anything any easier for you two, but if you can take one small thing from it, know that the suffering you guys have had this year in relation to that, because you are so family proud and family orientated, that out of that one small thing has come from it. So
yeah, that's awesome. That's amazing.
That's nice.
Thank you
like
for
it.
that. And it's no small thing. What mending that bridge will change my life and change my family's
So you're
life.
back in the inheritance?
Oh, mum always had that under control, so that was never a worry. But I don't underestimate what you guys are going through on that sense, and all the power to you. So they were my moments. Yeah, professionally great, and
well, my next one is, I reckon this year is when I realized how big fake news has won. I'm not saying that fake news has never been there. I reckon since the beginning of days, fake news has been around, right? We realize. In prehistoric times, probably if one guy was saying this and there's always another guy saying something else. So fake news always been there. But this year, I believe that the spread of fake news has been bigger than COVID-19. That it actually got people who have decided to believe certain things to have the opportunity to justify their logic with information that is out there to support either side. I've never seen fake news this big. And to me, to top all the fake news is to look at the US elections and see how much it has spread on either side, how much information has been hidden, used, and counter-used on either side, And I will say that we are in it for a long haul. I believe, if anything, the person who controls fake news in this near future is going to be king. If you can make fake news spread faster than anything else, you be king. For example, someone said to me that Putin's daughter, when she got the Sputnik vaccine, died. It was actually a fake news spread out by a newspaper that got almost overnight something like 70,000 Facebook followers straight away and all that stuff, and that's how it spread it. And from there, it just spread. And people go on to stuff like this. And do you imagine if they have power, if they are center of influence, they tell others and they spread it. And so one of the things that I said to my in-laws not so long ago, because we do not hold the same kind of beliefs, my in-laws and I, is I said to them, listen, whatever news, whatever you believe is as wrong as my belief. My belief is probably as wrong as yours because none of us got any idea, right? So what do we do in life? Spend our time on what we have no control over, or do the best we can to make sure that the little world around us is a better place?
Yeah.
Not to argue with you, because I never want to argue with you, but
Yes, you do.
No, I love you to argue with
fake
me.
news, fake news worse than it's ever been or bigger than it's ever been. Didn't Hitler grow the Nazis on fake news?
Propaganda.
It's fake news.
Yep,
Isn't
absolutely.
Putin's whole life based on fake news to the people and Kim Jong-un and China at the moment? Maybe it's just that the West is finally catching on.
I think they've put a name to it.
Using fake news to control people is something that's been around for a long time. Do you think?
No, I told you from the beginning of time.
So is it worse than it's ever been, do you think? Because you're 100% right. Whoever controls the fake news is king.
Right
Hitler
now,
already proved that.
Right now, Cam, we're going through a pandemic, right? That is killing over 300,000 people just in America. That is killing over 1,650,000 people. And we are now getting vaccine out. And there are news already going out there. The vaccines don't work. The vaccine's killing people. They actually making people go crazy. And there's people scamming others already on vaccine, calling people and saying, we need your credit card, we need your bank details, we need your detail before we send you the vaccine. There's things everywhere. I mean, those are scams, but I'm talking also about the fake news, which is vaccines don't work. Yeah. You're crazy if you have vaccine. Seriously? Imagine this world we're coming in. So there's going to be vaccine available. We're going to take it or we're not going to take it. We don't have to say it. We either going to sit down and say, oh, well, no, we want to see what happens to people first, because if they grow an extra arm, I don't want that vaccine. I'll have to wait. And so I'll get a vaccine. And then we in a world where if you get the vaccine, that doesn't mean that you don't carry the virus.
That's right.
So you go to a place, you get the virus, but you're not sick, but you bring back, and then your dad gets it. And then what? Where are we heading?
I'm going to wait for you to have it.
I think with the word fake news, Cam, I think it's always been there, as we said, as we knew it as propaganda. I think years ago, though, to spread propaganda, it needed to be from a reputable source. Now it's just so easy to spread it on social media. Yeah, and I think that's the difference.
My point was, when TL's saying whoever controls it's going to be king, I don't think that's a new theory. I think, going back through history, I mean, I don't know what Genghis Khan used to tell people, but Hitler controlled the German population with that and managed to slaughter 6 million Jews with that, and Putin's managed to control Russia for that long because of that, and the list goes on and on and on. So my point, I mean, just trying to pick an argument for argument's sake, because it's no new theory, mate.
No, but these guys are controlling their countries, right? They're controlling their empires. Here, you can control the way a pandemic is either stopped or continued.
Control an election.
Right? So, man, this is huge.
We're stepping it up a
So
notch.
you imagine,
We're stepping it up a notch. It's go time. There's a Seinfeld episode.
you imagine that my parents don't want to get the vaccine. I think they're gonna get it, but they're not getting the vaccine. And I believe in the vaccine. I get the vaccine, or I am obliged to get the vaccine so that before I can travel back to Brussels. So which I will do. So I will do this, and because my kids want to come with me, they will take on the vaccine. What if really there's a problem?
Yep.
What am I doing to my 12-year-olds? Now we travel, we come back, and along the way we just caught the virus somewhere. Then we come back and we go and visit my in-laws. I mean, it's huge.
So the danger of it is that everything is so partisan at the moment that even if all the science is correct and it's 100% proven scientifically that it does work, there will be that much noise from the other side.
Right.
And even people from that side who haven't read the literature that don't really know, but that's the side they're on, so they're going to say it works anyway, that we are no chance of actually knowing for sure.
No.
None. You are no chance. I mean, I know when we started doing the newsy stuff on here and we used to talk about being a critical thinker, I don't care if you're the most critical thinker in the world. Based on all the information going around, I don't think you're any chance of making an informed decision about almost anything with any certainty. I
think it's been with everything. I'll give you the prime example. The flu shot. Does a flu shot work?
Wouldn't have a clue, never had one.
Okay. I've never had a flu shot until this year. And I needed to get a flu shot to go so I can see my dad. What if next year I get the flu?
That's because it
yearly.
has mutated.
But
No, the flu shot's
I've
yearly.
never had the flu previous to having a flu shot. In my 49 years on the planet, I've never had a flu.
I haven't had one because I don't. Well, yeah, but you had to have
But
one.
you see what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I've had the flu shot, and what if next year now I get the flu? Do we truly know what's happening? Do we ever truly
No, we
know?
don't.
And you're right, mate. You're right.
We don't.
But-
And it's okay to sit in the middle on it. The problem is everything is so partisan. Like the anti-vaxxers are anti-vaxxers, and it doesn't matter what you can do to convince them. They're always going to
They're the
be
same people that think
anti-vaxxers,
the
right?
world's flat. So.
No, but it doesn't. But how do you know? How do we know that vaccines aren't fucking with people, and how do we know we don't? And the more that it gets partisan, and the more that aggression gets put into it. The thing is, now if you're on the opposite side, you're a target. Now, if you're on the opposite side, you get hit with a baseball bat. Right? There's no having an adult conversation about it, or a good hearted.
There's no grey.
There's no having a robust debate.
Yeah.
It's you're fucking dead. I'm going to burn.
I'm right, you're wrong.
I'm going to burn your house down.
No happy medium.
And that's
Yep.
that's the problem, because fear will stop a lot of people trying to make a rational decision as well. You can't. I guess that's counter-intuitive to your point, though, because for every fake news on one side, there's just as much on the other. So can you really be king? How do you control the whole lot?
That's why I say there's fake news. I mean, for every fake news, there's reality, right? So I don't know.
Find the reality, son. If you know, you should be king. All hail king. I've seen the portrait, mate. You look like a king.
Dictator, not a king.
You know, it's funny. Yesterday, I lost it in the class, and I don't know if anyone would have known why I was laughing. You did the exact face that's on that portrait. Someone said something, and you were, I can't imitate it, but it was the exact face that's in the portrait. And because I'm the only one in there that's seen the portrait, I've gone, blah!
Well, you've done 2 days of these guys of the recruit training. Some of them are doing amazing.
Mate, it was a good 2 days. If you read what I wrote later on the testimonial, it was I can't implore leaders and owners enough to get back and do a refresher, one for their own skill levels, which are waning, but two, just to fill your cup with the energy and when you meet these guys and they're just starting out, a sense of responsibility that had maybe been waning in me got reignited. You know, I wrote on a thing. I've sharpened my blade and filled my cup again, and to see them change through the days and to see them like I went to lunch with them 2 days, and the questions and they just want to succeed, they want to grow, and they want to learn. And I came down here for selfish reasons. I came down to do it because I needed to sharpen my skill set, and by the end of it, or not even by the end of it, by 2 hours in on the first day, I'd realise that there's a bigger purpose, and no, good on them, good on everyone. They all
That's good looking at it from the recruits' point of view, absolutely. For the leaders to come down and see. I think you had people in that recruit training?
Yeah, I did actually, yeah.
Two, three? Yeah.
Two.
Two?
Yeah.
I think for them to see you there, I think that's a big thing.
I don't know if it's a help or a hindrance.
I think it's a help. I think they can see, man, my leader cares that much. He's come down to check up on me. It's not, I'm going to cruise past this. I need to take this seriously. And when they pass and move on and in the office making their phone calls, they know Cam cares, right?
I was worried and I was very conscious of them. I didn't want them to feel any more pressure than they were already, because it's a high pressure environment. I still remember my recruit course, even though it was 5 years ago. I still remember it. So I sort of wanted to sit in the corner and just be in my own space and not put any extra pressure on anybody. But looking at it from the other side, it could be a good thing to have that support there.
I've often come down when we've had people in the recruit training just the last day or one of the days, just to sit in and see how they're travelling, because you can, over the time, I've picked up a few things and you can see if they're going to make it or if they're going to struggle, where they need help and so forth. The other thing I take away is watching you, Thomas, deliver it, and when you put this pressure on a little bit and when you release it and how you lift them and so forth, and you see who you need to challenge a little bit more, maybe their ego's a little bit out of place, to pull them back in, and that's very mindful too. So watching you do that obviously helps us take it back and be better trainers as well. So there's a double-edged sword to it, which is fantastic, that you can help your recruits as well, but you're also learning a lot by attending that recruit training, even just for a day, even if a session, a morning or an afternoon
3
session,
hours.
you get a lot out of it.
You work out quick smart where you're at as a trainer, mate.
Oh, absolutely, Cam. Absolutely. You know what? Not every time I come down, that's what I pick. I try and pick where's Thomas pushing here? Why is he doing this? Why now has he stopped and said, okay, do some role playing, and so forth. So absolutely, it increases your ability as a trainer. And taking that back to the office, you might only take one or two little things, but it helps you out of sight on the other side of things. Truly, it does. It's good, man. So being there for 2 days, you're back at work?
Yeah, I couldn't do the first day. Work business came first on the first day, but I've done 2 full days. So
that's good. So what's another top moment, boys? We're a bit down here. We're a bit down in wine. What's going on?
Well, man, the flagon. Flagon.
It's definitely not a reflection on the quality of the wine, that's for sure.
Oh, shut up, will ya? Any normal day, that would have won.
Any normal day, it would have been a disqualification.
Actually, it's not a bad wine. It needed to breathe.
Don't bring him back.
Oh, fuck off, Cam. Jeez.
Don't swear.
You can't run and you take it out of my wine.
Actually, boys, it's we had some good wines there.
Wasn't a bad way to finish, huh?
So what are you guys looking up to the end of this year now? We've got about 15 days or 12 days before the end of the year. What are we doing? What are we up to?
Work-wise, it's just finishing off the years, reaching out to our customer base and saying Merry Christmas and all that sort of stuff. Within the work team environment, spending some time connecting with the team, and Saturday night's going to be a fantastic time. But I'm really looking forward to this holiday break. We're not going anywhere. Yeah, we've got a few things booked in already, so a few catch-ups and so forth. Yeah, that's what I'm really looking forward to. And we're not travelling anywhere. Not that, last Christmas we went, like New Year's Eve, we went to Lake Conjola. Not that it was very far, but ended up being trapped on a beach in a freaking one of Australia's biggest bushfires. But just staying at home, not doing anything, just enjoying the time. And for myself, I'm actually going to really start doing a little bit of self-reflecting with the SMS manual that we did in the conference. Yeah. So I'm going to start going through that a fair bit. That's my plan anyway.
How about you, man?
I'm a bit the same, mate. I've only got 2 official days of work left, a little bit to do next week with the new recruits. But, we, as I said earlier, we shut down a couple of days earlier than normal because I need a break. Hands up, need a break. So going to have a break. But at the same time, I've going to sound like I'm sucking up, but I plan on studying. I plan on doing quite a bit of study over the next, it'll be 3 weeks probably before I'm back at work. I need to immerse myself in a couple of things. One is the skill side of what I'm doing, and both from a salesperson point of view and from a trainer point of view, which was pointed out to me in no uncertain terms in the last 2 days. So,
who said that?
No, it's a self-realisation.
Okay.
It's a self-realisation. But normally, it's an interesting thing. I don't know what's different this year, but normally by the end this time, I'm cooked, proper cooked, don't want to talk work, look at work, have anything to do with work. A bit different this year, a bit of a different energy, a bit more energy and a bit more willingness to use the time. Yes, to have a break, but more to It hasn't been a year where you've had 5 minutes to sit down and do a lot of self-reflection or intense study or anything like that with everything that's been going on. So, yeah, no, I'm keen for it, and I'm keen. We're not going anywhere. And, yeah, bring it on. Spend some proper QT with the kids. That's probably, if I've got a goal next year, it's be better at that. So start it now. You, mate?
Just enjoying myself, man. I think when things are slowing down like this, and I know that leaders don't really need my input, it's sad to say, but that's the time when I really know now I can focus on myself.
Mm-hmm.
And that means a bit of time with the family, a bit of quality time with myself, but I will not stop doing what I'm doing. So I'm going to study the same pace. Things are going to go the same pace in terms of learning. Computer's still going to be on. Whether the business is shut here or not, the same learning is going to go. Because I don't believe in having a break when it comes to self-learning. I think if you really have one life and you really want to tell people that you truly enjoy being alive, then you need to celebrate it every single day. Maybe in different ways, but I fully believe that, the discovery of self and the conquest of self is something that I can never take a break of. And so while I'm going to spend some time with you guys and we're getting together, there's definitely not a day off. For me, I don't look at a day off. There's going to be learning. There's going to be computer being used, typed, information, written, things. It's going to keep on going. So nothing's going to change really for me. Maybe less phone calls.
Very good.
All right.
Sound a bit happy about it, mate.
Yeah, actually, listen, the conference and SMS.
A bit happier about it.
People don't realize the SMS, if anything, that's probably the positive of this year of COVID, has really made me realize that, maybe in my endeavor to look after everybody else, I have realized this year that maybe it can only start by looking after myself a bit more. And so the SMS we're talking about, which is the skill, mindset, and self, has gone way, way more to the forefront, beginning with myself.
You probably don't remember this conversation. We had a conversation many years ago.
Right.
And my results weren't the best, but the team had succeeded. And I said to you, my results lacked because I had been focusing on the team. And you said to me, even in the wild, the parents eat first. So looking after yourself, making sure yourself is at the best you can be is only going to help everyone down the chain, mate.
Yeah.
So,
which is the one thing, I don't know whether you were there. We were talking about it yesterday with the recruits, or I did it on day one. Where I said, the most important person is you. If you can't be at your best, how can you give the best of yourself to your children, your partner, to anybody else? So that most important person is you.
yeah.
And man, I can't wait to have more time during the break so that I can really focus on getting or extracting the best out of myself again. Because the 2021 model of me has to be a better model than the 2020.
From an outsider's point of view, well, not an outsider, but an insider, but an outsider, that's your biggest win of the year, mate. For a long time, you've given not way too much to other people, but so heavily focused on other people. And I think as much as it hurt sometimes this year to realise when people did show their true colours, I know it hurt you, but as a mate...
Better now than later.
As a mate, I think it was a great thing for you.
Yeah. I think it's a blessing. I think it was a blessing.
I think it's... nothing bad can come from that.
No.
From you spending a bit more time with yourself rather than people who don't appreciate it and they're going to kick you in the arse.
It's not appreciated. They don't appreciate it. They do appreciate it, but quite often it's a one-way ticket, or they do take it and not appreciating maybe the sacrifice that you've gone through in order to give them that, So I think that rather than spend the time and of regret, guilt, or even feeling angry about not having the return, you're going to have to spend it on yourself. And I think that, maybe that is a positive side of COVID. That is maybe the positive of 2020.
Yep.
Thanks very much,
Totally
boys,
agree.
for
Well
sharing
done, boys.
2020 with me.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much for these hours sacrifice over a glass of wine.
Absolutely.
And we catch up on the other side of the new year. Talk to you soon.
Cheers,
Peace.
mate.